Hey, everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. We're going to be looking at self-care for the holidays today, specifically Chapter 5.
All right. Sounds good.
And I am really excited about this one because it's it's kind of a different take on surviving the holidays and moving into the new year
Yeah.
with purpose.
Yeah. I think this is a great chapter to be covering at this time of year
Yeah.
because, we tend to think about,
Yeah.
self-care during the holidays. And it's like, okay, how do we, not go crazy?
Right.
But this is really taking it a step further and saying, okay,
Yeah.
how can we use this time
Right.
to set ourselves up for an amazing new year?
And not just survive, but thrive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm excited to dive in. I know we're going to be talking about some financial strategies, which
Yeah.
is always a good thing.
Always relevant.
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
And also just being intentional
Ugh.
about accomplishing those dreams that God's given us.
Absolutely.
So with that, why don't we introduce our expert for today, someone who knows a lot about this topic.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. So Chapter 5, it kind of flips the script.
Right.
So,
It does. It really does. It's
Yeah.
not just about, like we were saying, surviving the holidays or,
Right.
just getting through all the, the hustle and bustle and the stress.
Yeah.
It's about, okay, let's use this time
Yeah.
intentionally to set ourselves up
Yeah.
for a really fantastic new year.
Yeah. So how do we even begin to tackle that?
Well, it starts with this idea of gifting your future self.
Okay.
And that's a really core concept throughout the chapter.
Okay.
And I love that phrasing. It's like every choice we make now
Right.
during the holidays, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's going to impact the new year. So it's really encouraging us to step back
Okay.
from, the potential chaos and just kind of being swept up in everything and say, okay, wait a minute. Let's get intentional here.
Yeah.
What do I want to achieve
Yeah.
in the coming year?
Yeah. Intentionality. We hear that a lot. What does that actually look like in practice?
Right. Well, especially during the holidays, I think it's easy to fall into that trap of just reacting,
Yeah.
just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah.
But intentionality means saying, no, I'm going to be proactive here.
Yeah.
I'm going to shape the season
Right.
to support the goals that I have.
So it's kind of like we do with New Year's resolutions.
It is?
But instead of waiting till January 1st, we're doing it before the holiday crazy even starts.
Exactly. You're getting ahead of the game.
Yeah. Okay, so give me an example. Like, what would that look like?
Okay, so let's say one of your goals is to be more financially secure in the new year.
Okay.
So instead of just, going on a spending spree during the holidays,
Yeah.
you might say, okay, I'm going to set a really strict budget.
Right.
I'm going to track my expenses.
Yep.
Maybe I'll even explore ways to earn some extra cash.
Okay.
Just to kind of boost my income a little bit.
So aligning those actions with your goals.
Exactly.
And that can apply to finances, but also to any area of life. Really.
Oh, it can. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's break it down a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So when we're talking about intentionality during the holidays,
Yeah,
how do we make it practical?
right. Because it's one thing to say I'm going to be intentional, but
Yeah.
then how do we actually implement that?
Yeah.
And I think one of the key takeaways from Chapter 5 is that it's not about making these huge sweeping changes.
Okay.
It's about small, consistent actions
Yeah.
that can have a really big impact over time.
Small, consistent actions.
Us.
I like that.
So, for example, even something as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to put aside $5 every week
Okay.
in a special holiday savings account.
Okay.
That's a small action, but think about the impact that's going to have next year.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to overspend. And then come January,
Oh, absolutely.
you're scrambling to kind of catch up.
And you're starting the year off already in a hole.
Yeah, exactly. And that
Yeah.
stress
Yes.
can be crippling.
It can really weigh you down.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much harder than to focus on those bigger dreams that, God has given us.
Right. And speaking of those dreams, that's another thing that Chapter 5 mentions.
Yes.
So how does that fit into this whole, gifting your future self concept?
Well, it really emphasizes that those dreams aren't meant to be put on hold.
Okay.
We don't have to wait
Right.
until the new year or until life calms down.
Right.
By taking small steps now, even during the busy holiday season,
Yeah.
we're essentially investing in our future.
Okay. So what would that look like in a practical way?
Sure. So let's say you've always dreamed of starting your own business.
Okay.
Maybe this holiday season, instead of saying yes to every single party invitation,
Right.
you carve out a couple of evenings You
Yeah.
do some research.
Yeah.
Maybe you brainstorm some ideas.
Okay.
Maybe you connect with some other entrepreneurs
Right.
just to kind of get the ball rolling.
So it's being strategic
Exactly.
with our time and energy.
Yes. And you know it's about believing that those dreams are worth pursuing.
Okay.
You know, that God wouldn't have planted those desires in our hearts
Yep.
if they weren't important.
I love that. So we've talked about setting intentions,
Right.
taking practical steps toward financial goals,
Yeah.
and making time for our dreams.
Mm.
Anything else that Chapter 5 emphasizes?
Well, it also delves into this idea of creating a clear roadmap
Okay.
for our goals. You know, it's not enough to just say,
Right.
I want to be financially free
Oh.
or I want to start a business.
Right.
We need to break those big goals down into
Yeah.
smaller, actionable steps.
So instead of being overwhelmed by the enormity of it,
Exact.
we're creating kind of a step-by-step plan.
Yes, a roadmap.
Okay, before we move on, I have to ask about the practical stuff.
Okay.
Creating a budget, managing time, and actually sticking to those smaller steps.
Right.
It all sounds good in theory, but how do we make it happen?
Well, and that's where I think the real magic of Chapter 5 comes in.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't just offer these vague, ideas or suggestions.
Right.
It actually provides practical strategies and tools
Okay.
that you can implement.
So it's not just telling you what to do, it's telling you how to do it.
Exactly. It's about empowering you to take control and create that future that you desire.
I like that. Empowerment.
Yes,
That's a big one.
it is.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's dive into some of those practical strategies.
Let's do it.
Starting with finances.
Okay.
Sound good.
Sounds great. And a really practical place to start is with our finances. Chapter 5 suggests creating a post-holiday budget in January.
Okay, so after all the damage is done.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
After all the gift giving and the holiday cheer have kind of faded, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the season and kind of lose track of our spending.
Yeah, for sure.
So Chapter 5 encourages us to really face those numbers head on in January.
Yeah.
Include all those holiday expenses and see where we stand.
Oh, okay. I can see how that would be helpful. But honestly, the thought of creating a budget in January when I'm already feeling kind of the post-holiday blues doesn't exactly spark joy.
Yeah, I hear you. I think budgeting can feel very restrictive to a lot of people.
Right.
But Chapter 5 really reframes it as a tool for empowerment.
Okay.
So instead of thinking of it as like, oh, I can't spend money,
Right.
it's more about like, okay, I'm taking control. I
Okay.
am making conscious choices about where my money goes.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about making conscious choices.
Precisely, yeah. Aligning your spending with your values and goals.
Okay. I like that.
And Chapter 5 provides some really practical tips for making budgeting less daunting.
Okay. Like what?
Well, for example, it suggests using budgeting apps or spreadsheets just to track your income and expenses.
Okay.
It even talks about the snowball method for tackling debt,
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
which can be really motivating.
Yeah. That's where you focus on paying off your smallest debts first.
Yes,
To build momentum.
exactly. And those small wins can really boost your confidence
Yeah, for sure.
and make the whole budgeting process feel less overwhelming.
Okay. I'm starting to see the light here.
Good.
So we've got our budget in place. We're tracking our spending.
Okay.
Hopefully we're on the path to financial stability.
Yes.
What's next on this roadmap to gifting our future selves?
Well, then, Chapter 5 dives into a topic that a lot of people dread.
Okay.
Time management.
Time management during the holidays. Isn't that kind of an oxymoron?
It can feel that way, right?
Yeah. Between shopping and cooking and decorating, attending parties, spending time with family who has time for anything else.
I know it's definitely a challenge, but Chapter 5 offers a really fresh perspective on this. It's not about trying to cram more into our already packed schedules.
Okay.
It's about being intentional with our time
Okay.
and prioritizing the activities that truly align with our goals.
So saying no to some things so we can say yes to others.
Exactly. Recognizing that we can't do everything
Right.
and making conscious choices about how we spend our precious time.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, the chapter offers some really helpful tips for this. For example, it suggests creating a time budget,
A time budget. Okay.
similar to a financial budget,
Okay.
where you actually allocate specific blocks of time for different activities.
So it's like making appointments with yourself.
Yes, that's a great way to put it,
Okay.
for the things that matter most.
I like that.
And it can be really helpful in preventing those feelings of overwhelm
Yeah.
and ensuring that you're making time for the things that truly nourish you.
Okay, so what kinds of things?
Well, it could be spending quality time with loved ones.
Okay.
It could be pursuing a hobby. It could be simply taking some time for yourself to rest and recharge.
Now, that's something I can definitely get behind.
Yes, we all need that.
So I love this idea of being intentional with our time.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and lose sight of what's truly important.
It is. And Chapter 5 reminds us that prioritizing our time isn't selfish.
Okay.
It's essential for our well-being
Right.
and for achieving those dreams that we talked about earlier.
Right. So how do we connect this idea of time management back to those dreams?
By actually carving out time in our schedules to work towards them.
Okay.
So it might mean waking up a little earlier to write a few pages of that book you've always dreamed of writing,
Okay.
or taking an online course in the evenings to develop a new skill,
Right.
or spending an hour each week networking with people in your desired field.
So making those dreams a priority, not just something we hope to get to someday.
Exactly. And even small pockets of time used consistently can lead to significant progress.
This is starting to sound like a really empowering approach to the new year.
Good. I like that.
It's not about making these drastic resolutions.
Right.
It's about taking these small, intentional steps in the right direction.
I love that. And Chapter 5 reminds us that it's okay to start small.
Okay. Okay.
Don't let the idea of pursuing your dreams feel overwhelming.
Right.
Just focus on taking one small step today
Yeah.
and then another one tomorrow.
That's really encouraging, especially for those of us who, tend to get bogged down by perfectionism
Yeah.
or the fear of failure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of fear, Chapter 5 acknowledges that stepping outside of our comfort zones and pursuing our dreams can be scary.
For sure, it's easy to get stuck in our routines and avoid taking risks,
Right.
even if those risks could lead to amazing things.
Exactly. But Chapter 5 encourages us to embrace that fear,
Okay.
to see it as a sign that we're on the right track,
Okay.
that we're stretching ourselves and growing.
So instead of letting fear paralyze us, we can use it as fuel to propel us forward.
Exactly, yeah. And the chapter offers some practical tips for managing fear and building confidence.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, it suggests breaking down those big, starry goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
It also talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with supportive people
Yeah.
who believe in you and your dreams.
Having a supportive community can make a world of difference.
It really can, especially when you're facing challenges or feeling discouraged.
Right, for sure.
And Chapter 5 reminds us that we don't have to go it alone.
Yeah.
There are people out there who want to see us succeed,
Yeah.
who are willing to offer encouragement and guidance along the way.
That's comforting to know. So we've talked about finances, time management, pursuing our dreams, overcoming fear.
Yeah.
Anything else? Chapter 5 covers in this whole gifting your future self concept.
There's one more key aspect that kind of ties everything together,
Okay, what's that?
and that's the power of gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay, how does that fit into all of this?
Well, Chapter 5 emphasizes that cultivating a mindset of gratitude can have a profound impact on our overall well-being
Okay.
and our ability to achieve our goals.
But how can we be grateful when, we're stressed out and overwhelmed and maybe even feeling a bit discouraged about the state of our finances or the progress we're making towards our dreams?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have,
Go.
even if it's just small things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the roof over our heads,
Right.
the food on our tables,
Yeah.
the love of our families,
Yeah.
or simply the opportunity to wake up each day and try again.
So it's about finding those little glimmers of joy and appreciation amidst the chaos?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and Chapter 5 suggests some practical ways to cultivate gratitude,
Okay, like what?
like keeping a gratitude journal,
Okay,
writing thank you notes,
right.
or simply taking a few moments each day to reflect on the things that we're thankful for.
Those all sound like pretty doable practices.
Yeah,
Even during the busiest of times.
absolutely. And the benefits can be really transformative.
In what way?
Well, when we approach life with a grateful heart, we're more likely to attract positive experiences and opportunities.
Okay.
We're also more resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Gratitude can definitely shift our perspective
Yeah,
and help us see things in a more positive light.
absolutely. And that positive outlook can be a powerful asset in achieving our goals and creating a life that we truly love.
Yeah, it's like we're creating this upward spiral where gratitude fuels our motivation, which leads to more progress, which in turn generates even more gratitude.
Yeah, I love that visual. It's like a positive feedback loop,
Exactly.
propelling us forward toward those dreams that God has placed in our hearts.
And Chapter 5 reminds us that those dreams aren't just for us.
Okay.
They're often connected to a bigger purpose,
Mm,
a way to make a positive impact on the world. That's a really inspiring thought.
yeah.
It's not just about, self-improvement. It's about using our gifts and talents to serve others.
Exactly. And when we connect our goals to a sense of purpose, it gives us this extra layer of motivation and resilience.
It's like we're tapping into this deeper well of energy and inspiration.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to that really powerful quote from chapter 5 that says, what if someone out there is waiting on you to step into your greatness?
Ooh, that's a good one. That one really struck me when I read it.
Yeah.
It suggests that our dreams aren't just for us. They might be the answer to someone else's prayer.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
To consider that our unique gifts and talents might be exactly what someone else needs
Right.
to overcome a challenge or achieve their goals or simply feel a sense of hope and inspiration.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective. It's not just about our own personal fulfillment. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of our lives
Yes.
and the potential ripple effects of our actions.
I love that, and that's what makes this whole concept of gifting your future self so profound.
Yeah.
It's not just about setting ourselves up for a successful and fulfilling new year. It's about contributing to a more positive and hopeful world.
I think that's a beautiful message to carry with us as we head into the new year.
Yes.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to create a better future, not just for ourselves, but for those around us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 5 of Self-Care for the Holidays, I want to leave you with this challenge.
Okay, I'm ready.
Take a moment to reflect on the dreams that God has placed in your heart. What small step can you take today to move closer to those dreams? What act of kindness can you offer to someone else? How can you use your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact on the world?
Those are some powerful questions to ponder. It's a reminder that we're not just passive passengers on this journey called life.
Right.
We are active participants with the power to shape our own destiny and influence the world around us.
Absolutely, and the holiday season is the perfect time to start. By taking intentional steps toward our goals, cultivating a mindset of gratitude, and embracing our God-given dreams, we're not just gifting our future selves, we're gifting the world with the best versions of ourselves.
I love that it's a reminder that the greatest gifts are often the ones that we give freely from the heart.
So, well, thank you so much for this conversation.
Oh, thank you for being here, and thank you everyone for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, happy holidays, and here's to a truly transformative new year.